Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back?
So you said the first initial conversation about you fighting Francis was initiated by Dana White himself, or did that you and Francis talking?
Yeah, Dana himself. Yeah, Dana himself. Yeah, I talked to Dana himself.
Wow.
So that's when his first, was talked about and stuff like that. So I'm very interested in it. If he want to do it, and he want to do a showdown and get some people some good fights, and let's do it, man. I love to go over there to the continent and do it. That's gonna be a Marvel fight right there. You got the two big black superheroes, man. That should be nice.
What's up, boxing fans? Breaking news. Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, recently was in an interview and he said some extremely interesting things. He said that he was very interested in a possible matchup with former MMA UFC star Francis Ngannou. No one saw this coming, but Deontay Wilder said he's actually been in talks secretly with Francis Ngannou, and he actually spoke with Dana White, who was also interested in the fight happening. Now, this may have been, he said this was a few years ago, or he said it was quite a while ago. This was obviously when Francis Ngannou was part of the UFC. Now he's not. I don't know if this makes the fight easier or more difficult to make. I'm guessing it makes it much easier now that Francis Ngannou is a free agent. So the fight was spoken about. The two fighters, Wilder and Ngannou, had a few meetings with each other. They got on really well, and they decided that they would love to put on the fight. And Deontay Wilder actually goes on to talk about how he would love to have this fight in Africa. For the people in Africa, he would love to do something like that. He mentions it would be an amazing fight. Two big black superheroes, he says, his words, fighting each other. And I mean, this news was so interesting to me. But then he goes even further and he says what he is really interested in is having two fights. One in boxing, in a boxing ring with boxing rules, and one in the MMA cage. And that's where people were quite shocked. The interviewer was actually like, you would fight Ngannou in MMA? And he said, yeah, let's do it. He was extremely interested in doing the fight with Ngannou in MMA. And that's where I really was surprised that Wilder is, you got to love the guy. Absolutely no MMA training whatsoever. And he's still ready to take the fight. That's why I like Deontay Wilder, Deontay Wilder, he means what he says. He does what he says. He doesn't mince words. He's enthusiastic to do things. When he said that he would fight Tyson Fury, he fought Tyson Fury 3 times. He tried to beat him. This man has got confidence and he's got tenacity and he's good for boxing. There's all sorts of people that say they don't like Deontay Wilder. I can understand why. Sometimes his ego has got ahead of him. Sometimes his confidence has crossed over into something else. I don't know if he's arrogant, but I don't think he's arrogant at all, to be honest. I just think that he's a very eccentric type of character. But I think boxing needs people like Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, these characters. Although I'm a fan of Anthony Joshua, he's not really a character that you can get excited about, in or out of the ring. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are two of the people that you can definitely get excited about when they get in the ring. But this news, Deontay Wilder fighting Francis Ngannou, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. They're two extremely dynamic fighters, two of the hardest punchers. I did a video about the hardest punchers in history, and both of these fighters are in that top 10. Francis Ngannou, 6'6", huge man, huge punching power. He's actually registered as being the most powerful puncher, which he's registered because he punched a machine which registered the highest score of all time. If you ever watch UFC and you see Francis Ngannou fighting, you'll know why. Most people know him. He was in talks with Tyson Fury to have a fight, which kind of fell through. I'm not surprised. Tyson Fury kind of, not always follows up on what he says, but Deontay Wilder definitely follows up on what he says. So I think we could see this fight come out of nowhere. Both fighters really want to do it. Francis Ngannou in an interview said that he was very interested, and Wilder said he was interested. So there's nothing to stop these two from getting it on. What do I think about it? So the good and the bad. The good, Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou in the boxing ring, I think would be a great fight, because people would think that Ngannou has a chance because he's known as a big puncher and he's a big guy, and people would love to see that. Francis Ngannou and Wilder in the octagon, nobody gives Deontay Wilder a chance, including me. I think it's kind of a crazy idea. And even Wilder himself had to acknowledge that it was a crazy idea. He actually said, I would get MMA training first. I'd get training before fighting Ngannou, which kind of shows Deontay Wilder's level of naivety to think that you could just have a training camp and fight in MMA. And the interviewer actually says, do you have any MMA training? And he actually says, no, I haven't had any MMA training, but I would get a little bit of training before fighting him. So, Deontay Wilder is game, and that's what we love. We'd see a really exciting, maybe competitive fight in the boxing ring, because they both have some boxing skills and they definitely both have power. I don't think we would be able to say the same about them fighting in the MMA cage, but I would still watch it, and I'm sure many people would tune in to see Deontay Wilder in the cage fighting, a monster like Francis Ngannou. I would love to see it as a spectacle, but if I put my rational hat on, it kind of doesn't really make sense, because you can't just have a training camp and get in MMA, because MMA has so many different skill sets that you have to learn just to survive, never mind having a chance at winning. Deontay Wilder just wouldn't have a chance in an MMA cage. Few seconds in, he'd get taken down and pounded into the canvas. And I don't think that there's any chance of that not being the case. I don't think there would be any other outcome. There wouldn't be any other outcome. So in MMA, and that is despite Wilder having extensive training. And the reason for that is because Francis Ngannou had 3 or 4 years training in MMA before he came into the UFC, and he still got beaten. He still had no idea what it's like to fight a professional at the time. His first fight, not his first fight, but he ended up fighting Stipe Miocic and losing. It doesn't matter how big and strong you are. Francis Ngannou still couldn't get it done the first time. He had to get that experience of knowing how to manage his energy, knowing how to stop takedowns, how to stop submission threats. And it takes years for you to learn these things. So Wilder thinking he can have a training camp and then go in the MMA arena just wouldn't work out. Now, obviously, there's always that spectacle. Could Wilder just land that first punch? He's always got that chance. He's always got that chance. And I think as long as you have casual fans who don't really know much about martial arts, you're going to get people tuning in to watch it anyway, because they give Wilder a chance to win anything because of his power. And I would be one of them. So yeah, I'm down with this. What's the likelihood of this fight happening? Well, I think it could definitely happen, but in regards to it happening next, no, because you've got Andy Ruiz in the mix. If he was not to accept the fight for some reason, then you've still got some other people. Maybe Anthony Joshua would take this fight with Deontay Wilder. There's a few people that would probably be ahead of Francis Ngannou, I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, maybe all this time Wilder's been training in MMA. Who knows? I think we'll get the boxing fight first. Definitely get the boxing fight first, and that's the main thing to look forward to. So, you know, in that case, the boxing match could definitely happen, and I would be very excited to see this happen. Let me know what you think about Wilder versus Ngannou. Would you watch it? I would definitely would. Like I said before, who do you think would win? Do you think Ngannou would have a chance in the boxing ring? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back?